10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
Hello everyone and welcome back. It's the Dota Pit and we've made our way into the second series of the day. Another 2-game series here. It's going to feature Complexity Gaming taking on 4 anchors plus the Sea Captain. Bringing you the English coverage is myself, Kyle Guy. This time I'm going to be joined by a different remote guest. I have F4L joining me for this one. How you doing, my friend? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Good that I heard you. I'm glad everything seems to be going underway technically. I'm sporting this little studio out of my own bedroom. I'm glad you could join me here. It's very intimate and cozy.
Excellent.
You're like, yes, it is. No?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Is it?
I don't know. I think so. It's God's room, so, you know, he's been doing all right. Why not, right?
Isn't God? When does God's come back?
He's already back. We kicked him out. He's living upstairs now. I got this room. It's mine.
10 seconds
At least while I'm here.
remaining.
And then he'll probably get his room back, I'm sure, but I'm the guest. So, anyways, enough about me and my life here. It's more about Complexity going against 4 anchors. Now, according to the Dota 2 Lounge, FRL, this is a bet I might have taken myself if I was a rare betting kind of a guy. The Dota 2 Lounge odds have it at currently an advantage for 4 anchors at 72% over Complexity's 28%. Isn't that a bit interesting?
I would have taken that bet.
Yeah, I mean,
Radiant
Complexity,
team
this is a team, me and you both, we've been casting at least a couple of games of them over in the Summit to America, and they look pretty good. They've only taken 1 loss, and it was that Clowny game versus Leviathan where they got a pudge and then just got manhandled. But every other time, they look crisp cut, they execute just nicely. Moon finds his farm. They will pull together some sort of 30K, 40K kind of a lead, and then they will finally decide it's time to end the game, folks, and they'll end it. So they're always a team that just looks pretty collective. I mean, they're working right now together in LA out of a boot camp and just look pretty sharp. And I think people are underrating him in a matchup here. But then again, who knows? We got well-versed, really good, strong talent over here, whether it's Pub Stars, whether it's like Trixie, who's from Fnatic. It's, you know, an overall really nice thrown together group. 4 anchors are about right in the middle as far as how their standings go. So, I mean, what do you think, man, looking at this matchup? Complexity versus 4 anchors.
I think they'll split, personally. Yeah, I think Complexity, I think they're pretty well-matched teams at the moment. I think Complexity, if they can have a good early game, then they're able to snowball their advantage. They just keep accruing a larger and larger gold lead until they decide it's finally time to end the game. But I'm not sure that if Complexity fall behind, that they'll be able to bring it back. So I think for ASC, I think they'll just split 1-1. So
Yeah, really the only
Radiant team
real
ban.
weaknesses I've seen lately from Complexity is when they're put in a position where they might be outside their comfort zone, whether it's like a intriguing pick or something that they're just like, this is not very traditional from how we've been practicing. They can be what seems to be a little perplexed as far as trying to decide strategies and calls on the fly with something they're uncomfortable with. And then if they start going on tilt, it kind of gets a little more harsh from there. For Anchors, unfortunately, I haven't had as much privilege watching a lot of. I mean, it's a hodgepodge of a team as it is with a lot of recent roster changes that happened in the European division. But they've been pretty hot and cold as far as performance streak goes, and I know they have the talent there. Now, they do grab off their draft a Viper to lead things off, and I know that used to be like a Trixie regular that he loved to play, so I don't know if that's something he still will go for. And then a Witch Doctor follow-up. And it's not really like a situational Witch Doctor. I feel like this Witch Doctor is for a strategy on their own side. Normally, you'd see a Witch Doctor grab and counter to someone like an early picked Brew, whereas Cass can do a lot of work, or already snagged Faceless Void. But I feel like that's something they could still go for from here. We might even see a Faceless Void on 4 Anchors. I'm not too sure.
Kind of interesting picks from 4ASC. I mean, they opt for the first pick Viper, something we don't normally see. Usually we see it later on in the draft. And also, sort of just a Witch Doctor pick that doesn't really have any synergy built up already. You know, it's not really countering anything on the enemy team.
Yeah.
Not really, you know, combining with anything on his own team. So I expect maybe they'll go for the tree, so that they'll be really tanky on this Viper. They'll have all the heals, as long as the sort of EG tree Witch Doctor combo. But tree's not so good against Leshrac and Ogre, so maybe we'll look more towards like a Void.
I wonder if this is a support Leshrac or a core Ogre. A Shadow Demon just is taunting my name right now, FRL, as far as something that could be possibly picked. But
they run. If one of those is gonna be a core, I think it'll be Lesh. To be honest, just from playing Complexity a lot in scrims.
5 seconds.
So what's the idea of maybe throwing that core Leshrac in a lane together with a Shadow Demon then? Is that still too crazy?
Could be possible, but I think if they did that, they would pick Bane actually. I've actually never seen them run Shadow Demon, they did with Mirana, but I haven't seen them run it with anything else.
Okay, we'll have to see. It's just also on their side seeing this Leshrac picked up here. It's just, I'm seeing both these teams that are like, we have a set strategy, and we're just going to kind of build into it. We're not really acknowledging a whole lot from what you got going. We're not looking for big counter picks yet, because I consider Viper and Witch Doctor to be counter picks almost in their own right, unless it's already something set in stone. Now, they could still go for a Faceless Void here to get something to combo with this Witch Doctor to make it more worth the while, or they can get hefty push to allow his restoration to have great sustain so that they all can work together and just keep their siege ball going. But now Complexity fire that Mirana. We don't know yet if this is a core Mirana or a support. I know Moonmander's played Mirana as a core plenty of times, so
I think it'll be a core Lesh.
Core Lesh?
Yeah, just because I think they'll roam the Ogre and Mirana.
Okay. So that adds a bit of early pressure towards a mid lane, what could be Viper for now. Viper's hard to take down as it is, so you'd have some great execution. And now, 4 Anchors, pretty much nice and traditional to their name, I'd have to say. They grab up a Tidehunter, the Waterbelly Man, and I already talked a lot in the first game of the day how much this hero can bring. I mean, people are recognizing, again, how dominant he is, even more above like a Centaur now, which Centaur used to be like the king of the offlane. I think Tidehunter is back in it, man. I mean, Anchor Smash is fantastic. He can pretty much take on any lane up to like a aggressive tri-lane kind of setup, but he'll still be able to find the farm. He'll still be able to make a move with the Ancient Pit. And now Refresher seems to be like the hot craze, and Refresher on Tidehunter is just deadly.
Yeah, and I mean, Tidehunter is better in the late game, I would say, than Centaur. And since most games typically extend in the game, sort of his defocused from a snowballing type meta. Like, snowballing is not as important anymore. It's more important to secure the late game as well as, having good AoE teamfight control. So I like the Tidehunter pick. I think most teams are favoring Tidehunter over Centaur in general. Just because Tide is also very good against Centaur in his own right, so if you pick up the Tide, you're sort of making the other team think twice about picking up the Centaur. And Complexity are going to go with the Clockwork, so I mean, this is a very aggressive draft coming out from Complexity. So they're banking on doing very well in the early game, and I think they will last pick a carry mid for Swindle Melons. Maybe a TA or a Sniper or something. A DK, maybe even. something to offer them some push, as well as giving them a lot of right-click damage, because they're sort of lacking in that department.
Do you think they'd still be counting on that this would be a Viper mid lane, so this 5th grab would probably... I mean, this 4th pick for Anchors would definitely give us a bit more information. It could just be the support. No, it's going to be their late game grab. So that's definitely a Viper mid then. So their 5th pick grab here for Swindle will have to be something that offers a lot, whether it be pushing or not, but also needs to be able to stand to one of the better mid laners in being a Viper. So... And really one of the few that could have helped with contesting that a little bit, if anyone could, would have been Razor, but they banned out that Razor before this. So now it gets interesting at FRL.
Yeah, both Razor and Panda being banned out. So pretty much the 2 heroes that can sort of deal with Viper have been banned. So there's not really another matchup that is even decent that's left in the pool.
Can't do TA, man. TA has a notoriously hard time with Viper. They could...
a lot.
Yeah, or I mean, they'll have a lot of movement, which, with the Mirana and Ogres being support, if that's going to be the case, that's a lot of aggressive movement that could definitely come out from both their parts. So, banking on the help there.
The Rubik. That's surprising to me that they banned the Rubik, actually, because I'm not sure what Rubik would have offered for ASC. It's good against Clockwork, but Rubik Witch Doctor wouldn't be the greatest support combination.
Is there a mid laner that can give something Rubik would love to take? That maybe like they're just getting the Rubik preemptively for now for their mid laner? I'm not too sure.
Usually, if you see a Rubik ban, it's like setting up an Enigma sometimes, but I mean, they're obviously not going to pick Enigma in this situation unless they do something crazy like mid Enigma. Which I suppose could work.
Would Mirana have a terrible time mid against Viper if they kind of flip it around?
Terrible against Viper.
Oh, man.
5 seconds remaining.
I don't know. I'm curious to see what they're going to decide to do here. I mean,
they could try Lesh mid. No, I'm just not sure what hero they can send mid against this Viper anymore.
His other recent pickups have included Zeus and Sniper. Do you think Sniper is going to be something that would have a hard time with Viper? Could he still keep enough space for himself?
Sniper has a hard time... If Sniper is able to get some ganks, it's probably okay. But if he's left in a 1v1 matchup, it's pretty difficult. And it's like you're against Spectre and Tide, so Sniper is probably not the best pickup. I think they might go for the DK.
DK's good.
He'll have a rough time. He'll have a rough time in the lane. But if they can get some ganks, they have 2 stuns, which can set up nicely for the Dragon Tail and wow, it's going to be that Enigma.
Team pick.
So there's the reason for the Rubik
ban. They wouldn't pick it, but what are they going to put mid? I mean, is it going to be the Enigma mid?
I don't know. It's either that or they have to do Mirana mid, and she's going to have a struggle against Viper. Or, no, can't do Clockwork. Leshrek mid? Hell, I don't know. I'm crazy. I mean, they dipped into a lot of...
So, it might be Mirana or Leshrek middle, and then the other one in the safe lane with Ogre, Clockwork offlane, Enigma jungle. So it's actually quite a greedy draft. I think whichever hero goes mid is going to have a really tough time, because they're not really going to have any gank pressure. I mean, what are their other options? I'm just trying to think of if there's any other option. And 4ASC is going to go with the Lich, so they're going to have a dual offlane with this Lich.
And that Lich, that's a dirty pick right there. He's like, Enigma, I don't care if you get a BKB or what. You're not doing your ult ever. I'll be right there with my ult.
I'm not so sure about this Enigma pick, to be honest.
Yeah. That's just a perfect setup for this Lich to kind of get grabbed, I think.
It looks like it's going to be a Lesh in the mid lane.
Wow.
But, I mean, this Ogre Mirana lane, I don't feel like they're going to do very well against a Lich +1. I mean, unless they get some support from this Enigma. It's going to be interesting to see. So,
yeah. They could always change lanes out. They could throw Moon somewhere else. I mean, I don't know. I'm just as curious to see. It's complex for complexity gaming, so complex. 4 Anchors, Sea Captain, they're going to be going toe-to-toe with them. This is game number 1 of a 2-game series here for the Dota Pit as we get underway, streaming live over on twitch.tv/DotaPit. Catch myself, catch 4L, chat with everyone. You can also subscribe, of course, show your support, your love, get some sweet new emoticons. I know kids love emoticons these days, so without further ado, let's get things underway. Leading off your rosters here, I'll go ahead and introduce on the side of the rating, it's 4 anchors. And in your mid lane, it's going to be Matamba Man with what looks like, for now at least, a Spectre, unless they're going to go with a Hitman group here towards the opposite side. Right behind him, it is going to be Valix, who's going to be playing your Viper. Jerix, a notoriously known Earth Spirit player and streamer, is going to be playing your Witch Doctor. We got Trixie, who's going to be representing your Tidehunter, and that will leave your orange player, who is Boogie, playing your Lich.
And on the side of complexity, we have Moon Meander playing the Potom, Riser on the jungle Enigma, Z-Freak playing the support Ogre Magi, Swindlemelons on the mid Leshrac, and Limp playing his offlane Clockwork.
30
Limp
seconds
is
to battle.
pretty damn good with this Clockwork. He put on a pretty nice
Yeah.
show the last time he played it over in the Summit to America.
I
It's
think
one of
it's
those
his
performances
favorite
that remembers. Yeah.
Offlaner.
My co-caster had
Or his
said
comfort.
that. I don't know. It might have been you, but whoever I was with was. It might have been Mod, actually, now I think about it. He's like, Limp, man, he loves this Clockwork. He does so well, and he did well that game. That's why I remember his name. Put on a show, so we'll see if he can pull it together here for complexity as they go toe-to-toe against 4 anchors. And remember, on Dota 2 Lounge, 4 anchors were the favorites at
The
like
battle
78%.
begins.
So big advantage for them as far as on paper, but we'll see if complexity can go for a bit of an upset on this one as they're doing a very unorthodox kind of Leshrac
I
mid
really
lane
like what they're doing.
against a Viper. And this Viper looks like he's going to have some early assistance. Jerix has already planted himself in this mid lane, kind of camping it out. And also remember, 4 anchors did not move through the enemy jungle. They didn't go for any sort of early neutral denies. So Enigma has free will at the start of this one.
I really like what 4ASC is doing with their lanes. This is sort of the classic Chinese response to a jungle Enigma. You pick a Lich and then a hard carry, and you dual lane the off lane, because I mean, against this Potom Ogre lane, I mean, this Spectre is not even going to have that bad of a time. They're going to get ahead of it in experience because of the sacrifice, and then Tide's going to have the benefit of just farming up the safe lane pretty freely.
Yep. Tide going toe-to-toe with the Clockwork alone. That Clockwork is not going to get a lot. He'll just continue to anchor smash and just take what he wants from this lane and get all sorts of early farm. And they're really punishing the greediness of this Enigma, who's just kind of having the time for his life in the jungle. But, I mean, Ravage is going to be there and available, plus a Lich. I mean, your buildup of early farm into one-day hopeful BKB and big blink or black hole opportunity could be quickly shut down. All that time, all that investment, all for a Chain Frost to hit you in the mouth, and then your black hole's done. It'd be rough. We'll have to see how the team fights will seem to progress here, as Matamba Man will take his advantage in the top lane for now. He's still at only 1 CS though, so he's not getting as much as he'd like at the early CS advantage you were hoping for. It's still Riser at the top, 8-1.
Yeah, and I mean, this Enigma is just going to get pretty huge in the jungle. 4ASC opted not to ward any of the jungle.
Yeah.
So he's going to have his nice 3 camps with no contest. And it's not, I mean, it's not really an option for Lich to try to contest his farm, so.
And you got Jerix down here, he's going to scout out. The rune popped up, it's a bounty rune. That's a free support rune, yummy. That actually gives him the level 2.
Swindle actually doing really good in this mid lane, sitting at 7 and 6 to the 5 and 5 of Viper. He got a far superior block at level 1, which I think aided him a lot. I feel like if the block wasn't there for him, he might have had trouble in this lane. But very good block for him at level 1, which secures his early farm, and he's about to have his bottle, and then he can just spam lightning and stun on these creep waves and just clear them, try to get rune control, and pick up his farm. And I think he's actually going to do quite fine in this lane now.
Yeah, if he continues to kind of build up the advantage from there and get some early sweet kills as well. I mean, he's just got some pretty good harassment right now on this Viper, and he has the creep at his liking. You see currently Valix is trying to de-aggro and bring the aggro towards him at least and down from that hilltop, but Swindle's still going to get a lot out of this one. And we've seen in other games, Core Leshrac, man, when they ball out of control, they can stop anything. Even a Terrorblade, it just gets out of control and ridiculous, so we'll see what he ends up doing with it. For top lane, however, this 2v2 kind of a matchup, you see Lich investing in the early Frost Armor. No nuke yet for this Lich, so Goody going very defensive with this one. He's just kind of here to kind of aid the Spectre, use his sacrifice, pull out a little bit extra armor if necessary.
Kind of an odd choice to go for the armor, to be honest. So you get
very passive.
You get 3 armor, some attack speed slow, some movement speed slow, but I feel like the nuke is just better. You can just sacrifice and just keep spamming the nuke and force out all the regen on the side of complexity.
Could just be one value point in it for now, and he could build up the next 3 levels into it if he wants, or whatever he'd like to do. So we'll see if he's going to just kind of stick with nothing, or at least get one. The slow certainly could help as well, especially with Dagger on top of it. So for now, though, not going to be too action-packed in this top lane. There's your new 4-minute rune. It's going to be Bounty. Riser's going to be already there to scout it out. He's pinging it for his brother, but Jarex is already there. Well, Jarex gets there at least for a deny. He gets Melfist instead. Are they going to be baited into a fight at the same exact time? Moon Meander gets the first blood, taking out Boogie in that top lane as this mid-skirmish happens. Nothing will come out of it, but nice grab right there regardless from Moon Meander. Looks like he got an arrow set up in some sort of way with Seafreak coming in. Not too sure.
Yeah, I didn't catch it, but I'm guessing it was just a Fire Blast into arrow.
Yeah, nice snag. That puts Lich back, and now he's got to run back to lane. He now has a point in his nuke, so he is going to get something into it. Just probably the early start of the armor. Meanwhile, Jarex, Limp is here. He's got level 5, and he's got a sweet little Invis rune. Now he shows himself. He's looking to go right for a Viper, but they don't see Jarex right here. Jarex steps in, gets a nice catch. That does slow him down briefly. Valak trying to right-click and kite him about. Limp's going to be forced to pull out the Cog Wall. And now he's caught in a bit of a pickle here. He's trying to get back to lane. He goes the other way. He might be able to make it down. Briefly body block from his own comrade, but able to make it away regardless. So, bit awkward engagement right there, but nothing really comes out of it.
Yeah, and Complexity doing really well in all of their lanes. They're actually doing a lot better in this top lane than I thought they would. And Riser's free farming the jungle. Limp's doing quite well in the off lane. He's getting his levels up. I mean, to be expected against the Tide. It was pretty much a 1v1 matchup. They had the Witch Doctor sort of roaming between bottom and middle. And Witch Doctor's actually a bit level starved compared to what he could be if he was just chain pulling bottom, but there was a nice observer word by Complexity to block the pulls, so
yeah,
he would have had to stack and pull, which is not as efficient. And it looks like Riser's gonna use the smoke and try to get his black hole off for a kill.
Alright, well, let's see if he can get it. He's definitely smoked up right now, looking to linger from behind. They would love to get this Spectre. That'd be a sweet grab. Jarex isn't quite here yet, but he's on the move. Now, the window of opportunity could close if he makes his appearance known and he stays split. If he doesn't get caught in this black hole, obviously that would be a quick denial, but we'll have to see. Meanwhile, the Dire Courier will go down. Riser will end up committing. Midnight Pulse clears out all those pesky trees, and he just pulls on back. Not the right time to make something happen. Limp does have his hook shot available, but the creep aggro is just too far under the tower that it's just too risky. Yeah. Considering that someone could also TP in, it's just not worth it. They pull back.
Yeah, they couldn't go there with the threat of the TP support.
Yeah. Very unfortunate. Meanwhile, Dire's Courier had fallen. I didn't see what really happened about that, but looked like they're going to be out of the mix for a little bit while. Swindlemelon is going to be forced to run back to base now, as is Lestrex, so the advantage he had in mid lane, is pretty much gone. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Might have been a bit of a misplay. Maybe he had it too far in the mid lane, and Valks was able to clean it on up. Too bad we don't have DDR, right?
Too bad indeed.
Riser's now farming in the enemy jungle side right now, just kind of getting what he can from it in the meantime. Maybe they'll probably put that black hole in the mid lane here. Swindle doesn't make his return. Viper could get in trouble here, but bottom lane we also might see an engagement. It's Limp under pressure for now as they have the other support come on down and aid. Next to Jarex is going to be Boogie along with Spectre here as they give Tidehunter the solo farm in the top lane going against Moon Meanders, Morana. So an audible switch of lanes. Still a relatively quiet game. Here's Riser now looking to creep on forward. Ooh, he's going through the trees here. Valix is already on the move though with nice move speed. He's not going to get anything. So Riser's investing a lot of time in trying to get something with this black hole, but he's getting nothing.
Yeah, he's wasting a lot of time when he could be spent farming for his mechanism. I mean, he was farming really well early game, but now he's sort of, the last 2 minutes, I don't even think he's farmed any creeps.
He did do with these neutrals a little bit here, but that's about it. Other than that, it's just kind of like busy trying to make an engagement bottom. Now still hanging around mid lane for something. Valix makes his return, but Jarex, once again, is just always nearby as that babysitter. But Swindlemelon's just coming in from the north. Ignite will lead things off, and we might be off the races here as the lightning storm slow. Yep, Trixie jumps in. Very nice grab across Swindle and Freak in place. They take down both of them easily. Moon Meander rotated from the top lane here. Quickly gets met by an Anchor Smash, but catches the nice arrow on Trixie. Can he get him on the way out, though? Arrow lands, but he's too thick. That bit of ice armor, enough to help. Boogie's laughing at us now. Haha, that ice armor did help, fools. Yes, he does get it, and saves his ally. So it ends up being a 2-for-0.
Yeah, really good rotation from 4ASC. I mean, perfect rotation from Tide. They were expecting them to get dove middle. The Witch Doctor is lingering behind. Tide comes in, uses the Ravage. They pick up 2 quick kills. The Spectre Haunt comes in, and they pretty much deter any further engagement by Complexity. And they were able to come out 2 for 0.
An Enigma yet to put that hole to use. He's still hanging around enemy territory, farming up those creeps. Now they scout out bottom. Maybe here I'll get to do it. But he doesn't know Jarrett's is coming, so even if he goes for it here, which he might. Come on, baby. Slams it home. Limp is real low, but haha! Jarrett's is here. Pulls out a nice stun. They take down Clock, and now poor Enigma has to walk away with not a big black hole. Not as big as he wanted after he waited so long to do it.
Yeah. And a lot of wasted time from Riser. I mean, in the last, I don't know, 4 minutes of this game, he's only picked up about 300 gold, and for an Enigma, that is a very slow pace. I mean, he's been really trying to use this black hole, but I think sometimes it's just better to farm up your mechanism.
Be selfish. Think about yourself for once and just get a little bit more farm, you know. Securing something on the mechanism would just helps so much. In a situation like that, I don't know if he would have had mech, but he could have helped Clockwork, you know, so.
Yeah. And if you look on the side of 4ASC, their supports are doing, I mean, relatively poor as far as their item progression and their farm, etc. So had Enigma been more selfish in his farming, I think they could have gotten a large experience in gold advantage just from the back of the Enigma. I mean, if you look at the CS, they have 3 of the 4 top farmers, and they should be leading in experience and gold still, even after that sort of botched mid-fight and the bottom engagements. But yeah, I feel like they should be playing a bit more greedy with the Enigma early, and then the second he picks up the mech, start putting on the pressure.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
He has some stacks he's working with in the jungle now, so he will take a little bit of me time for the time being. Also considering his black hole's down, he can't really offer a whole lot. Might as well. So we'll see if he decides to come on out once more, whether he reaches his cooldown period, or if he levels up to 11 and gets that level 2 black hole, he might try to make a revisit to the lane. We'll have to see how aggressive Complexity want to go here. Also, Clockwork in the bottom lane hasn't really ventured out too far. He got involved in that skirmish bottom, ended up getting killed, but he's yet to really go elsewhere and take advantage of this hookshot setup, as I don't really know. It's kind of a hard pickings here as far as catching someone to go on. Supports have been constantly behind the scenes or way behind towers here. Top lane Boogie's finding solo farm. He gets to his level 6, but he's pretty deep in if you want to make a commitment. Jarrett's is always lingering in the wings, keeping anyone guessing as far as where he's going to pop up. And Tidehunter is also just a hard target to catch, so I don't think Clockwork's finding much opportunity in this mid game to get any sort of pickoffs.
Yeah, 4ASC supports have been doing a great job this game, just not showing themselves on the map to be picked off. Because, I mean, it's so easy for them to get picked off at any point in time if they just show. Even for 5 or 10 seconds, they can get...
Oh, here we go. Moonlight Shadow mid lane. They're looking to make a go here. This is going to be a nice grab. They have no idea. They got surrounded. Cog is going to lock Valix in place. He's the prime target. Jarrett pulls out the dust, so the Moonlight Shadow's not going to help them much further. Moonlight rotates in. And unfortunately for Jarrett, he runs right into the open arms of Z-Freak's Ogre and gets blasted down. Very successful pick-off gank there. The Moonlight Shadow certainly helped. And well, they take down the precious mid laner in support, and we'll see if Complexity quickly spread, which looks like to be the case. They're just going to chalk that up as a nice pickoff and go back to farm.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And kind of surprisingly, Enigma picks up the treads first, not opting to rush the mechanism. I imagine he'll go back for his mech next. Maybe this is sort of more... maybe it makes him farm a bit faster, but doesn't really assist in the team fighting. Though maybe he's opting to farm a bit more so that he can pick up his mechanism.
Yeah, we'll have to see. If he's looking to get involved, which we saw from earlier the way he acted, he definitely wanted to get involved quickly. Mech would certainly help out a lot.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
We'll see if that's something he progresses towards. Touching base with Moonby, Andrew's got like that early nice foundation of your Mirana, the Aquila and Drums and Phase Boots complete. Now can look to go to a next big significant item, whether it's going to be something defensive or going more offensive, maybe a reliable Yasha, the potential Manta, maybe with the early Maelstrom, early BKB. We'll have to see. For now, he pulls back. A lot of rotations coming in. 4 anchors might go for defense here. We do have Trixie's Ravage up and at the ready if they want to make a fight happen here. We'll have to see as Complexity consider pushing forward. Riser Has his black hole ready to go.
Radiant's
Arrow
top
to scout out the
tower is
side
under
woods.
attack.
No one's going to be there. Trixie's still lingering about, and they're getting a little bit of damage here on the tower with these Eidolons. Another rotation. Cast again a Moon. Gush, Trixie waddling forward right now. Still no blink. He's actually going for a mech before he gets a hold of his own blink on the Tidehunter. So that's a bit interesting. But for the rest of the time,
Radiant's middle tower
you
is
think
under
so? Yeah.
attack.
Yeah, I think
Radiant structures are fortified.
they don't really need to initiate fights on the side of 4ASC. I think they're better served right now counter-engaging, and they don't want to be in a situation where Complexity has a mech and they don't.
Oh man, big damage on Death Ward, and it just makes it perfect. Set up right there. Spectre pulls out the Haunt, gets the Urn off. It is going to be Witch Doctor who takes him down. Jerix gets pretty much a solo kill there in the mid lane, pushing back Swindle Bones. The top lane to make a jump in. They get Valix right now. Off the wall. Went very low. Ravage returns, finishes off the clock. And now a black hole in exchange, but he gets immediately stopped from that Lich ultimate we talked about before. And now it's going to start bouncing around. And Trixie, though, very low. Has to step away. Moonlight Shadow pop, but so is a dust shortly after from Jerix. Man, he is on the support game. And now they're putting pressure on Z-Freak. Z-Freak, oh, an arrow does catch from Moon, though. Moon, can he burst him down? He certainly can with the Starfall and gets another grab. He might get 3 here if he catches up with Trixie. Trixie trying to hide. No, he can't hide. Nice grab right there from Moon. Gets a nice triple kill. Very good stuff.
Surprised Trixie just didn't run away. I mean, he had plenty of time to just evacuate, but good place from Moon Meander. Catches the Witch Doctor with the arrow and gets the return triple kill.
Maybe he thought he could hang around and go for like one last little gush to help out.
Middle tower has
At
fallen.
first he didn't know where Moon went to. He didn't want to get cut off at the pass on his way out, but it looked like he was like, maybe I can just get a gush in if the fight looks like we can get something, but
You know,
that wasn't the case.
Man is getting pretty close to his relic. He's had quite a good time since leaving that top lane. He's 2-0-4. He's been involved in a couple kills. He hasn't been pressured so much since moving to the bottom lane. There was that one attempted black hole on him, which was quickly countered by the Witch Doctor. So he's having quite a good game right now.
Enigma, very close to that mech now. All of a sudden, he's only 400 out. So he's gone back to his selfish ways.
16-minute mech. I mean, that's just not something you see on Enigmas.
Yeah. With that big gap of time away from
Radiant's
jungle.
bottom tower
Just
is
trying to
under
get back
attack.
on that quota as quick as possible.
Radiant structures
And now they're
are
pushing down
fortified.
bottom lane. Got the Eidolons already out. They're going to pull away the
Dire's top
creeps
tower is under attack.
so they can open up even further on this tower. So they're looking to go for what looks like a possible exchange as Valix presses in from the top
Radiant's
lane.
bottom
So
tower
just
is under attack.
a trade here from both sides. Nothing too crazy. But I mean, I can't have to say, like, just looking at the overall
Radiant's
picture
bottom
of this
tower has
game,
fallen.
Complexity, the pressure's
Dire's
on them.
middle tower is
I mean,
under
late
attack.
game,
They're
Spectre can
definitely on a
shine.
timer.
You know, so they have to get a lot done during this window of opportunity before it's all going to be Spectre on 4 Anchor side.
That being said, the timer
Radiant
is
structures
not
are
as bad
fortified.
as you might think. I think Leshrac and Potom can do quite well in the late game, especially with the Ogre
Radiant's
Bloodlust, as
bottom
well
tower
as the
is under attack.
Enigma. I mean, the power of Enigma in the late game cannot
Dire's
be
top
understated.
tower
So I'm
is
not
under
sure
attack.
that Complexity is actually too bad in the late game. They have a lot of tanky heroes. You know, even if the Spectre gets really farmed and he haunts, it's not
Radiant's
really
bottom
gonna
tower
find,
is under
you know, the
attack.
typical,
Dire's
one of your
structures
supports
are
just
fortified.
dies during the haunt. So
Yeah.
I think
Radiant's
Complexity
bottom
might be
tower
okay
has
in the late
fallen.
game. As long, I think they need
Dire's
a
top
lead, a
tower
gold and
is under
experience lead
attack.
going into the late game. But I think if they can manage
Dire's
that,
top
they'll be
tower has
perfectly
fallen.
fine.
We'll see, though, man. I'm really liking the support play from 4 Anchors on this one,
Yeah.
though. They have a nice setup. They're
played
in
really
great
well.
position. They're on the mark as far as when they need to be with stuns, with the momentum. And we've already saw one time Lich cancel out that black hole with his ultimate, and I got to tell you, I think he's going to reserve that every freaking time just for that. And he'll just constantly be in the back line. So if you're counting on whatsoever Complexity making a big comeback or setup with this black hole, you might be quickly understated. So we'll have to see here. Is Complexity do make the call to move in the road pit, and they will actually be able to secure this uncontested. 4 Anchors don't really look like they have quite the idea, or at least if they
Roshan
do,
has fallen to the dark.
they're not even going to consider going for any sort of defense. But right now, they're just trotting down this mid lane. They do have Blink now online for Trixie with the Ravage ready to go. But he actually put a halt to going in that mech and just finished
You've
out the
got the
Blink.
blink dagger. Kind of interesting. Oh, it's because Viper has a mech. So maybe he just got the casual headdress for the regen, and he wants to pick up a pipe later.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's what that's for. I forgot that Viper was gonna get a mech, so that makes a lot more sense.
Here's what Lil Lich is gonna get here. Now, because he doesn't have to save up for a mech or, you know, much else. He's already got a couple of wards here. Force staff, yeah. A little bit additional mobility. It certainly helps against clockwork as well, so I don't doubt that whatsoever. I think force staff would probably be his best option. And if he needs to be on the outside, or let's say he needs to get into a fight even quicker to stop a black hole, that would certainly help. So, all right, I like it. We'll see if it works out for him. As top lane, though, we got a hiding Jerix here. Complexity don't quite know. Instead, they shoot out the arrow to scout out the sidelines. No one's going to be be it almost actually catches up there with Boogie. Boogie's like, holy shit. Now they throw out the rocket. They would have gone for a hook shot if he was close enough, but they quickly tear out the tier 1. It's going to be taken down. They continue to press forward with the back end of this Edict here. Looks like Complexity are trying to make a fight happen. They have the Aegis. Why not?
Complexity are doing a really good job in this mid game. You know, seizing their window of opportunity to acquire a large gold lead. They're just systematically taking all of these towers down, not really letting 4AC trade. They know that they have to push out all the lanes, then rotate, and then pressure these towers.
All right, this is time. He's wallowing in there, blocks off with a gush. Is he going to pull up the Ravage yet? Valix might be in a bit of trouble as Swindle does not catch the Viper. This litter gets lit regardless, but it creates enough space for them to finish out the tier 2. It looks like Complexity are going to retreat out with what they got. So I guess objective complete as they just get the simple structure, force a rotation over from 4 anchors, and walk away with what they got.
And Spectre is pretty close to his Radiance. Pretty good timing for the Radiance. He has an also on top of the Earn Face Boots and Poor Man's Shield. And there he goes, picks up the Radiance. This is gonna increase his farm rate significantly. And I think Complexity need to get a bit more ahead if they want to take this into the late game.
Ooh, they're making a go here on Valix, top lane, Moonlight Shadow, but he quickly pulls back. And he is going to be way too far. So they're not going to get anything out. Maybe they scouted someone else in lane who had the Moonlight Shadow effect, and they just said, everyone get back, because all lanes were back towards the tier 2s or even further. So that smoke ink not going to come out to anything, which is not good for Complexity, for a team that definitely needs to get the ball rolling on some action, trying to keep the Spectre down a notch and get everyone else on their team up ahead. This game could slip away from them very quickly if they're not careful and find something at least going their way.
And it looks like Moon is gonna build into his Mjolnir. Pretty standard item choice on Potom as a core position. I imagine he'll be putting that mostly on the Leshrac in teamfights. You know, the super tanky.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, they jump in. Swindle gets caught behind. Trixie does a little bit of harassment. The long hook, though, comes in, and Lim catches Trixie here. And that allows Swindle for an easy setup with his Lightning. And they take out the Tidehunter very nicely. Did not have to use defensive Ravage or anything, just kind of held onto it, expecting that he was just going to fall. But that will be out of the fight for 30 seconds.
Swindle goes for a Veil of Discord on this Leshrac. So he has a Rod of Atos Treads and Veil of Discord. A very unconventional Lesh build, but honestly, I think it's okay. I mean, they have so much magic damage, it's just going to amplify his whole team's damage.
Yeah, definitely adds a lot. Ogre's going to get a big amount out of it, obviously. Enigma would, and it does persist through BKBs. At least it lingers there for when the BKB does.
I mean, every single one of their heroes has some sort of magical damage.
So let's see if they can make use of it. Moving on forward here onto Z3. He's going to be forced to pull out the TP. Can they stop it? No, they can't. The simple little stun comes out there from Jerix, and it's Viper who's going to go ahead and clean up the kill there. And Complexity, who had drawn what looks like creep aggro out from the jungle, are going to take it all the way to their side. But they do lose their support Ogre, as 4 anchors consider to trot down this mid lane. The Aegis, I imagine, is about to expire here momentarily, and they have a Ravage ready to go, so they're just going to go for a tower push here in the mid lane.
Yep. But once the Aegis expires, the Leshrac's going to get all his mana back, and he's going to be in fighting shape. And there it goes.
All right, let's see here. They're going to continue to press on in. Limp with his hookshot ready to go. I don't know if he's going to go for a proper catch-off. They're going to keep people far back. I mean, look how far back Boogie is with that Chain Frost. Just in case a certain Enigma wants to make a come in, which it could be from the north here. Already setting the Eidolons forward. The tower
Dyer's
is going to be
middle
taken
tower
down. It's
has
Viper
fallen.
who gets the hit. Not going to be denied, and 4Anchor is going to walk away with that. So very timid play for both sides. Very intense, but no one pulls the trigger on any sort of engagement.
Not too surprising. I think Complexity want to make sure that the fights that they take are in their favor. Because I think if they get 5-man wiped, they can easily just lose this game against the Spectre. So
Yeah.
making
Who
sure
now
that they
has
take the
1600
correct
gold.
engagements.
She could just keep farming. She doesn't care about these mid lane pushes and crap. She'll just farm on the side. And when something breaks out, she'll hit the R button and she'll get involved when necessary. For now, it's about her. I am but a woman and I need to farm up. So she's going to head up top lane and just continue to make this happen. Only contention right now is going to be Moon. He is the real late game kind of right click damage here for Complexity. So he has to pull it together. He does have very nice farm on this Mirana. Top of net worth, 11k. Mjolnir now put together. And you see a skirmish breakout. Valak very, very low in life, ends up falling. Death Ward from the low ground though. Big damage coming out, cleans up one, cleans up two. So a 2-for-1 trade for now from the side of Complexity. Z-Freak able to get out the last second. And 4Anchors get a nice turnaround with that one. They do lose their Viper, but they take down that pesky core Leshrek. And they get a little bit more, and because Spectre was there and got involved with their Haunt, she gets a little bit out of it as well.
Yep, definitely a good pickup for 4ASC. They get 2 kills, trade the Viper. Honestly, Viper dying in these fights doesn't really matter too much as long as the Spectre is kept alive.
Radiant's top tower is
And
under
really
attack.
good death ward from Jyrix to secure those kills.
So with good positioning and support play that continues to show here inside 4Anchors, man.
Interesting to see. I think Complexity are going to try to make a play now that Haunt is down.
It looks like he got him smoked up. Oh, right to Boogie. And they need to get rid of him, so he has true potential with this black hole, and now he definitely does.
I wouldn't be
Hook shot
surprised.
not gonna catch.
Not only both the Haunt and the Ravager done, I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a base push.
They need to.
I think they can even just maybe get a tier 3. Looks like they're checking Roshan. It's not up,
Roshan.
unfortunately for them.
Nope. It's going to be a little while before that.
Yeah,
And
they
it doesn't
could
look like they have the
also...
motive.
Yeah, they're going to go for the tier 2 mid, which is the safer play.
Alright, they waltz towards mid. Lich is going to be coming back up momentarily, but
Because the Haunt
still
is
no
up
Ravage.
in 20 seconds.
yeah, Haunt's going to be back up here before something really breaks out, and Lich will be right in the play. So Complexity kind of waiting around a bit before kind of pulling the trigger on anything. They need to hurry and decide if they want to do something here or not before everything comes back, and then they're at that disadvantage. So let's see. They're pressing on forward here. And they're trying to catch out Spectre from behind. Arrow not going to catch the mark. They press on forward instead. Limp, can he catch up with a hook shot or something? No, he's not going to try it. Spectre's just too fast, and quickly made her way through the jungle, is going to farm on her way out. So Complexity come together as a group for the past really minute or two and don't find any sort of opportunity from 4Anchors.
Yeah. One thing to note if we look at this minimap, there are no wards on the side of 4ASC besides this one up here. And if you look at the wards of Complexity, they have like complete map control right now.
Yeah.
Pretty nice to see. Excellent warding on the side of
Dyer's top
Complexity, and
tower is under
Trying to
attack.
take advantage of it though. Let's see, mid lane, they get Moon with a little bit of pass right there. Now he's forced to pull it Moonlight Shadow. Ravage stops us. An anchor smash. No vision is even needed for that one as he's able to quickly take down Moon. Moon now out for 50 seconds. This is going to allow 4Anchors to continue to push down this mid lane, it would appear. And as long as they have Lich nearby, but not too close, the black hole is not going to be able to offer a whole lot. So I think they might be able to take this tier 2 without too much of a trouble, as long as they keep it with the creep wave.
and BKB
Dyer's
picked up on
middle
this
tower
Enigma.
is under attack.
Roshan is going to spawn in about a minute and 20 seconds. His hook shot misses in the mid lane. I think Complexity, as soon as his bottom revives, they really need to do something.
Yeah.
They're just not finding... They just keep dying to the Ravage and Haunt combination. And then they're not really forcing the issue once these ults are on cooldown.
And they're putting a lot on this clockwork on getting a good initiation start, because they can't really offer to have anyone else on blinking heroes
Looks
with
like
a
they're checking
Spectre on the
Roche.
team. Oh, Arrow is going to scout, but there's going to be no Roche. And they're continuing to persist. I mean, if they want to get something done, looks like they do.
It's about 20 seconds away from spawning.
Pretty hot and heavy here as they roll on through. On the back lines, it's Jerax who's going to scout out the Roche. It might even see it as it comes up here if he waits a bit.
I mean, they still have a minute before Ravage is available.
Just as he leaves.
So yeah, they're going to go ahead and pressure this mid tier 2. Maybe check Roshan again afterwards.
They just checked it with Rocket, so I think they know it's there now, so they can go back to it if they get this down quick enough.
They're going to go Roche after this. And I mean, this is
4 anchors.
These are the openings that they would use. 4AC cannot take engagements without the Haunt and the Ravage. And I think the game deciding point in this game is when Tide will get a refresher. Because I think they only need 1 Ravage to win teamfights. So I think once Tide gets a refresher, this game might be... Just because I don't think Complexity has taken enough advantages when these ults have been on cooldown to really fight this in the late game anymore. They're no longer as far ahead as they used to be. If we look at the gold graph, they were almost 10,000 gold ahead, now it's closer to 5. You know, they were ahead in experience, but that's, you know, dwindling. And let's see if we can...
coming out. Yeah, there's a smoke movement coming out from 4 anchors, but they're going to be too late. Complexity are going to take this, but they might kind of go on with this play anyways. Ravage is up and at the ready. And... you know, they deter away from the original plan knowing that Roche is taken down, and instead they're going to go all the way to the top here. Maybe they're thinking Complexity are going to rotate and defend against this Spectre, and they'll be right there to greet them, but for now they're going to hide things out. Some of Complexity have stayed in the bottom to farm, but these two are roaming, and they could roam into trouble here, and they will. Ogre going to get the back end of the Viper, pushing on forward. Trixie, see if they can scout anyone else. Limp is nearby, so they can go for the 2-man takedown here. And they will. Nice grab there from 4 anchors. Complexity not expecting them to be on their own side of the jungle, and they lose 2 scouters.
A bit surprising, but I mean, Complexity have really good vision inside the enemy jungle, so they knew that they weren't farming their jungle. They didn't see anyone mid. They saw the Spectre top. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
You almost have to make some assumptions when you don't see people on the map based on your vision and what's happening in the game, and I think they should have been able to figure out that they were inside of their own jungle. But
tower has fallen.
Bottom lane pushing forward, Swindle and Enigma, but the rotation comes and Swindle.
And he doesn't have a TP, so he can't just TP away.
They're considering staying and fighting. He throws out the Veil right there.
Looks like he's going to be okay
now as well.
Is under attack.
So he steps back. Luckily they don't pursue anything about it. And, well, for the meantime, he goes back into the jungle, runs right back into Matamo Man, and he could lose his life here, but the Cogs might save him. Well, if the Chain Frost goes out, that's not going to be enough to take him down, but Chain Frost is now down for 110 seconds. That is 110 seconds of a free black hole from Riser, even with BKB. So we'll see if Complexity gets to go for an engagement.
And Mantiside completed on the Spectre, along with 1,400 additional gold. He's probably going to be looking towards a heart. This is next item.
And Swindle still has Aegis. This is just the formula for a Complexity fight, and one they need to win. They need a big appearance here because Matama Man is not letting up on the farm whatsoever. He's got his Manta together and 1,400 gold, so it's slowly coming together. Oh, top lane. Yeah, Jerax might be caught. Moonman are going to be in hot pursuit. Even goes forward with the Mjolnir active. And sidesteps going for the neutral camp. Can Jerax juke his way out of this one? Holy moly, he is slippery as a... Come here, you fool. In and out of these nukes. And Crevice is finally the arrow scouts, and then the follow-up nuke. I mean, I guess Jerax can say a little bit of space created, but not quite a lot, as Moonman just gets the easy support pick off. Yeah.
He was just lingering a little bit too long. He just got picked off by the bottom there. And what is Moon Meander going to buy now? He might consider a BKB next, or perhaps a damage item, maybe a Daedalus. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to pick up. And they're gonna,
this is a big fight here.
Gonna use the Moonlight Shadow. I mean, if they can get in there.
Oh, they're scouted.
Oh, the Sentry works. Sees them.
Oh boy. Well, they need to hope for a big fight here while the Chain Frost is still down for 20 seconds.
And they have the Aegis for about 2 more minutes.
I don't know, man. They need to make this happen. They need a big black hole that can't be quickly canceled. And now it's going to be 4 anchors testing out their high ground defense, which they have a reasonable amount of to work with. I mean, you still have that blinking Ravage from Trixie, and he can land the Ravage when needed. Kid's a player. Viper happy and confident to sit out in the front lane. He's building together his, he's already got his Agnems. He's almost put together his BKB. That's going to be quite the nuisance against Swindle Melons and Ogre and everyone else who benefits so much from their magic potential. This Viper is also going to be uncontested soon in these fights.
Yep. And it looks like Riser opts for the Dagger second item. Curious to see if he's gonna go for a Lincoln Sphere if this game drags on that long, or a Refresher. I think both are fine choices. You know, you can put the Lincolns. The Lincolns will block the chain from disrupting your ults if you're BKB'd. But if you just get a Refresher, you can just black hole twice if it gets disrupted.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it would have been crazy to think that he should have invested straight towards that, not even going for a blink. I mean, it's a blink in a game against a Spectre, so getting off an optimal blink could be finicky as it is. So, I don't know. For me personally, maybe just going right more for the Refresher, throwing out a crazy first black hole. You know, it might get canceled up, but then you have the second one right up your sleeve ready to go. And in a game where they might not have the benefit of taking it real long, I don't know. I think blitzing forward towards it could have been a little bit more beneficial, but we'll see if he can make good use of the blink regardless.
I mean, if there's ever a time when the Lich is out of position or they catch out the Spectre, he can just use the whole, you know, with the blink now, so.
Now no ages. And I think maybe 4 Anchors know that. I mean, they are in the enemy jungle just kind of taking everything away and also planting wards on the way out to prevent that farm. So they're trying to suffocate Complexity here as far as their economy and resources, so that Spectre even has an easier time with less contention in the late game. But now you're going to see your Moonlight Shadow come out, and Complexity don't know that there's no one really nearby. 4AC might just hide their way all the way through. I mean, these wards are going to start scouting them all out, and they see him now, so it's just a Moonlight Shadow to move into their own territory, but nothing going to come out of it.
Yeah, they're trying to force 4AC out of the jungle, but I mean, it's so hard now because they can just they don't have the same tools that 4AC has right now. The Spectre can just push out all the lanes, you know, unless they gank him with 2 or probably 3 heroes at minimum to kill the Spectre.
Blinking forward Trixie, that forces the BKB out, but he hasn't off the Ravage yet, so they might wait out here for Swindle Melons and instead move themselves forward with that Force Staff. Jarek's now dishing out a big Death Ward, and Valix is able to clean him on up. Meanwhile, on the back lines, you see the Spectre will actually get taken down from Moon Meander, but 4 Anchors sweeping on through. They want to get more. Limp, though, gets himself to the high ground very nicely here, but they still know he's there. They're creeping around. Do they have the uphill vision? Oh, Boogie just Force Staffs all the way up and over. Whoops.
I think he actually would have died if he ended up Force Staffing.
He sacrificed himself for that little bit of vision from the Viper, I guess, but ultimately not going to get a lot out of it. It ends up being a 2 for 2, but it's Complexity to come out on top because they take down the Spectre on the other side of the fight. Nice grab.
Yeah, good fight coming out from Complexity. I mean, you see how strong this Lesh can be in teamfights if he's able to get in between all of 4AC, pop his BKB, dish out all that AoE magical damage. I mean, he was fighting 1v4 for quite some time before he went down, and he was able to take down the Witch Doctor, I believe, and almost the Tidehunter, so a lot of damage coming out from Swindle Melons on the best track.
He did a nice job because after he popped his BKB, he just kind of zoned back the other half of 4 Anchors, and it left Tidehunter in a weird position where he couldn't really use his Ravage without it kind of going to waste because Swindle has BKB out, and it was a pretty fresh BKB, so it was a long wait. I mean, that was a full 9 seconds, so, you know, I mean, they still have it ready to go, though, for the side of 4 Anchors if they want to try to go for another fight now that the Aegis is not around, now that they still have Ravage to work with.
Yeah, they're almost going to have a double Ravage, too. Yes. 3,200 gold on top of a Oblivion Staff.
And this Spectre is going to get a lot harder to take down as she's about to have her heart complete. Reaver and now Vipe Boost already complete. And
getting kind of worried for Complexity. You know, I think
get a lot done.
Yeah. You know, in the super late game, I think they might be okay. But I mean, you're talking about when Potom's 6 slot and Leshrac 6 slot and Enigma has Refresher, but he's not even going that. He's opting for a Plate Mail.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, if they can somehow get to the point, I mean, that's always the problem with Potom as a core, right? You have a really strong early game, and then you have a mid game that's like okay, and then your late game is pretty abysmal, but then your super late game, when you get to the 6 item point, is really strong. Like when this hero gets Butterfly, Satanic, Crit, you know, BKB, and then, a damage item and Daedalus or MKB, the hero is really strong because not only are you a 600 range hero, but you have the leap to reposition yourself. So the hero in the late game is actually quite strong, and any hero that picks up Satanic against Spectre can actually out-carry Spectre in the late game, as long as... But then, I mean, there's just so many scenarios in which... Spectre always has the chance of buying back and haunting again, so it's really hard to say who would win in the late game, but I think
to see if we even get to that point.
Yeah, I think Complexity have a chance in the late game if... I don't know. It's just going to come down to play at this point. I mean, when the BKBs are popped, when the Ravage is used, I think those are the key points of this game. Like, if they're able, since Moon is not opting to go for a BKB on the bottom.
Wow, solo black hole here on Matamba Man, but he's got no one with him. He's just does the black hole.
Well, that was interesting.
See you later.
That was a odd usage of black hole. I mean, it would have been fine if maybe they had a Force Staff or a Blink on either this Ogre or the Leshrac. And then we also haven't really talked about this Ogre much, but Ogre scales really well into the late game. I mean, he's almost got his Agnums, 400 gold away from the Ags.
Yeah, deceptive amount of damage. It cannot be underrated. It's just so much serious burst. Yeah, a lot of it banks on huge RNG, but you don't want to be on the bad end of bad luck, that's for sure.
Yeah, and when we talk about, it looks like Matama Man's going to go on to Moon Meander. Moon Meander is going to stand his ground and fight him, but...
this is a man fight right now. Oh, but Moon has to pull on out, but the Haunt tracks her down, and she is down for the count. 75 seconds, no buyback, she is out. And now, 4 anchors who are already pressing the bottom base.
Very odd play, I'm not going to lie.
Oh boy, oh boy.
He got a bit overconfident there, and just thought he could 1v1 with the lifesteal.
Black hole. They don't have black hole, and 4 anchors know what they saw him use that freaking thing on the solo Spectre.
But Swindlemelon's doing the smart thing, split pushing the top lane, which forces them back, as he gets, I mean, a lot of damage on this tower. He just got 800 damage on the top tower. Forces back the Viper, and they're actually going to defend.
Here we go. We'll see as Complexity start creeping out on the outside. They get a stun right there, but the return Ravage flies out from Trixie. And now they're looking towards Spectre. Death Ward is going to be dropped in zone and back. Limp ends up falling. Swindle eating big damage, but it's going to be a split earth that will unfortunately miss as Jerix is just too far high up. That post in a great spot really unloads a real fury of damage right there from that Death Ward.
Yeah.
Ends up being what? And 2 for none?
2 for none.
3.
Yeah.
If you
count they almost took down the Spectre.
It's close. It's close.
I really feel like I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm feeling the Butterfly purchase on Moon Meander. I feel like he should go a BKB this game.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
That's just me. I think because if he ever gets caught in the trap, I'm just not sure what he's going to be able to do.
Oh, Z-Freak eating a lot of damage here, but the right click coming up from Moon is enough to kind of stop Spectre from moving forward.
By Moon Meander on the Viper ult. And I mean, you can see how much damage they can do to Matamba Man. I mean, he's really tanky, but they can just chew through him if he's on top of the Midnight Pulse.
Oh, here they go. They pull up Moonlight Shadow, they're pressing forward. They want to get a hold of Valix. The right click's coming out. Good setup from Limp there with the cog. She can't get the arrow off. She unfortunately clicks right on the creep in front, but they step back. Nice Ravage. Moon now gets quickly taken apart because of the lockdown factor. And now they're pressing forward. This forces the BKB out. He has 3 more seconds before Black Hole, and Lich does not have the Chain Frost. If they want to kind of bounce back here, they can go real big with a setup from Riser, but now he doesn't have the mana to even do it. Oh, this is frustrating. Complexity pressing forward. The Death Ward's dropped from Jerix on the high ground. Splitter, he's going to catch, stop him from that using that Death Ward. And Crystal dancing here. Wow, 3 times multi and a Fire Blast to follow up takes down Lich from Ogre. And now they go forward.
Honestly, this Ogre is just going to sit here and work now.
2, 3. Unbelievable ding-ding damage coming out from Z-Freak. Oh my goodness, now. Advantage towards Complexity on the back end of that one. They do lose Moon for it, but they don't have to use Black Hole. So they still have that, and now they're going to look to scout out Roche, who is up.
Yeah. I mean, these fights are actually pretty crazy. If you think about it's just how much Furious he can get during the usage of the Ravage and the Spectre Haunt, and then how well Complexity can kite around these ultimates and then re-engage afterwards. Because after these ults are down, they have this Ogre with an Aghanims, the Leshrac dishing out huge AoE magical damage, and then always the threat of Black Hole. So they can never use this Chain Frost in any sort of offensive capacity. It always has to be used defensively. And Matumba Man picks up a Butterfly. That's a huge pickup for him.
Yeah, Moon had just invested a lot in his, or he's still investing towards his own Butterfly.
Yeah.
He's getting close to it, but now he's not even going to be able to dish out optimal damage until he gets an MKB.
Yeah, and the main difference this game is just that they're not finding kills on Matumba Man, whereas 4ASC have just found 2 kills back-to-back on Moon Meander.
Yeah. 4Anchor's looking pretty good here as things begin to get more and more in their favor, especially as far as where this Spectre has come. Still getting a lot done with the Heart. Now you have the Butterfly on top of that.
Yeah.
Things get ugly real quick. It all comes down to a nice setup, of course, with the Ravage.
A lot of magical damage to bring him down. I mean, if they get the Veil off, the Ogre, let's say, gets a 3x and a 4x multicast, I mean, Spectre's actually just going to melt. If, let's say, he's like on top of the Midnight Pulse as well. So, you know, I think Complexity have the tools to deal with this Spectre unless he goes ahead and purchases a BKB, which I think would maybe be like the nail in the coffin, perhaps.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he should go a BKB this game. If you look on the side of Complexity, they have so much magical damage.
Yeah. And they should have seen in that last fight how much the damage the Ogre can really do. And I wonder if that's going to be enough for her to consider going for BKB or going more greedy and getting an MKB. Which bar will she go? We'll have to find out momentarily, folks. She kind of throws out the Dagger in the meantime to
I
scout
don't
it
think
out.
there's any way she goes an MKB. I think her other option is a Diffusal Blade. But I think she'll opt for the BKB, and then the Refresher Orb is the last item.
The Butterfly now going to be completed by Moon. Means no buyback still. As they prep forward for a fight with that Moonlight Shadow, it's not going to be there. As the Sentry was out regardless from 4Anchors, they have optimal vision out and at the ready. They're pinging out thinking that they might have planted a ward up here, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Boogie's going to be on it though. He places the Sentry, not going to see it. And now they continue to siege on forward here with Spectre leading out the charge.
I feel like this
just kind of waiting.
I feel like this next fight will probably decide the game. We'll see what if Complexity can survive.
Scouting Arrow does catch on Jarex on their movement over here, but Roche is up, and 4Anchors are like, well, we'll make a fight come to us if we're not going to get it. Or not.
No,
they move in there, they see there's a dominated creep scouting it, but I guess
I don't think any team can actually just walk into Roche at this point. The team, it's just too risky. If you lose the team fight in Roche, I mean, it could spell disaster and maybe even the game. And it looks like they're gonna... Oh, they have an Invis on Ogre. This could be huge. If Moon comes, I think they can kill him with 2.
4 times! 3 times! Are you kidding me? The Teleman brought down the half-life. Moon has to come to his aid. Can he get the Haunt off in time? He gets blown up! Well, there's your... Oh my goodness, what an opening up right there on Spectre. Now, she does still have buyback available, but there's your best case scenario, man. The 4 and the 3, and the Haunt was used?
He panic haunted. That is huge, actually.
Oh man, Complexity now.
Because even if he has buyback, there's no Haunts.
So we can't get involved with anything that's happening here on the bottom lane as the rest of his team continues to press forward, but they instead might have to come back into the lane. So Arrow flies, not going to catch on anyone. Complexity see their advantage, and they're going to move on in. Leshrac looking to show heavy damage here with the Edict. Will quickly take down the tower. Now Ice on the racks, but here comes a jumping Ravage. He has 2. He pulls out the second one. BKB, though, going to be popped from Enigma here as he takes himself up, back, and behind right here. Knows that Lich is still around and can easily cancel it out. It's going to be Zfreak who's trying to get out here, though. TP is going to be successful. Trixie goes on forward, and Complexity quickly split after losing Swindle Melons. They do take down Spectre. They do take down a tier 3, but things could have gone dramatically worse here for 4Anchors, though they did have to spend that buyback, it looks like, on Spectre.
Yeah, big buyback cooldown for Spectre. Good win for Complexity. I think Swindle, had a an opportunity maybe to almost win them the game. If he had been able to BKB the Ravage, I think that would have been just a complete disaster for 4ASC. Because the Spectre bought back, and the only Spectre wouldn't have been able to really get into the fight without the stuns. And they were able to just basically kill the Leshrac from 100 to 0 inside the 2 Ravages. And I think had he BKB'd, you know, the fight would have reset. There would have only been 1 Ravage left, no Spectre Haunt, and
it's off.
Now they're both dancing around the Roche pit area as it is up and at the ready. But they're waiting to see what's going to actually come out of it. Arrow, ooh, back inside of Alex right there.
And Matumba Man has to play really cautiously now that he doesn't have
no buyback.
I mean, if they pick him off again, the game can just end. And they have the tools like we saw. I mean, they have the Hex now, which is actually really big, as it disables the evasion. So he'll just pretty much melt if he gets hexed. If there's like 2 or 3 people hitting him.
Well, let's see what the game plan is here as they quickly deward the Roche area, and it looks like that's what's up on the docket. They move themselves into the pit. Nearby waiting is 4AC. Now this looks like Complexity have vision up here, so they don't know who's creeping nearby, but an immediate Moonlight Shadow and a Haunt in exchange is going to give them that extra bit of vision, while the Sentry's also going to drop his Valley, seeing a lot of big damage. Jarek drops a nice ward, but isn't stopped yet. Full duration to come up, and nope, they push forward, and it's going to be Limp's Battery Soul that takes him down. Meanwhile, back in behind, it's going to be Trixie, who only had the 1 Ravage to work with, who also gets taken down. Complexity taking this game right back now.
No, he didn't have any Ravage. No Ravage.
Oh, he didn't have the... Oh, it was... Oh, yeah, you're right. 4 seconds, and then he would have had 1.
I think they had to just give up Roche because they only had the Haunts, no Ravages, and even when Spectre has Haunts, Spectre can't really commit to fighting. Like, Spectre's a hero that really has to commit to deal optimal damage, but he couldn't commit in the last fight because he knew that if he died, I mean, the game can just end in an instant. So I think they made a bit of a mistake by not just giving up the Ravage, the Roshan.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is in the late game. You don't really want to just be giving away Roshans. But sometimes you just have to.
We'll see here. 4 anchors, the high ground might be tested once more. The only damage that been done their base so far is still that tier 3 that was taken down up here. And that looks like where they want to go, right into the weak spot. Quickly, Edict's going to get pulled out as the creeps do move into the base. The backdoor protection is lifted. And you're seeing Leshrac, man.
Yeah, they're going to
really siege it. And they secure 1. They'll be able to quickly secure 2 with the benefit of that Manta. And that's a quick set of racks right now for Complexity, the underdogs on this matchup, mind you. 79% for 4 anchors. Complexity giving a run for their money right now.
Then Ogre's already up to 3,500 gold on top of his Agnums. So he's going to go ahead and pick up a mana regen item, which is going to sustain him to spam out these Fire Blasts and the unrefined Fire Blasts.
Yeah, we'll see what that could be.
And oh, Viper might be getting caught out there.
Oh, they press on in. Viper turns back, gets the Viper Strike on Moon, and now a Death Ward comes out here. Big damage, sends him back to the out of pipe now, jumping forward. It's going to be Trixie, gets 1 Ravage off, the second one as well, catches him in place in mid lane as it's going to be Spectre cleaning up with that Haunt. Is Z-Freak now? No, the cheese brings him right back to full. Stat Black, not going to get the multi on the first, but 2 times on the second one. Now Trixie, right click down from Moon Meander, and Complexity looks to go right back. Now Swindle under pressure goes down. Viper eats a multi, falls as well. It's Moon Meander cleanup, going to the double kill. Behind and hiding is going to be Matumbo Man, waiting in the trees. But Complexity actually just pull on back. That's the buyback that comes out from Viper.
Yeah, 2 buybacks on the side of 4ASC, I believe. Yeah, buyback on the Viper and the Tide. Not exactly sure why Trixie bought back in that fight. I think the fight was sort of dissipating by the time he chose to buy back, and he really can't offer that much. I mean, he's basically just a Gush and a Anchor Smash.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
You know, he has the Force Staff utility, I suppose. But a decent fight from Complexity. You know, they used both the Aegis and the Cheese. They did get the top racks, which is fairly important, and force out the cooldowns from 4ASC. So I believe when Swindle Melons revives here, they should be looking to take another team fight.
We'll see. It's going to be about another 30 seconds, and 4 anchors feeling confident here, knowing...
I mean, I talked about this earlier. He finished up the Satanic, which is such a good item against when you're fighting against this late game Spectre. And I mean, that's... go ahead.
I was going to say, you might be able to put up a strong front because we already pointed out, like, Ogre's farm, those supports starting to pull a lot together here.
Yeah. And I mean,
So,
he does have the benefit of the Bloodlust as well.
Yeah. That's a big benefit to have, especially at this point in the game. 16% move speed, 50 attack speed. With the right click he's already dishing out. Now with the Satanic, he can get right back to full. It'll be a second life for him to fight. And I don't know, pressure's on 4 anchors. Their advantage comes around waiting out for this Titan to get both his ultimates back together here. And they can't really go on the offensive till then. I mean, their top lane has already been broken down, and there's going to be constant pressure coming in from the north. They're going to have to wait for an opportunity to present itself before they can make an engagement happen, where they were once more of the team to kind of go out and become dominant. It's complexity that are kind of on the run. Now they're taking control of the map. They're taking away the farm from the enemy side, from all parts. And I don't know, man. It's looking pretty good for them. But it is Dota after all. Really anything can happen at this point. The rubber band is so real. But as far as net worth, it's all complexity.
You know, we haven't really... We saw, like... We've seen 2 black holes this game. We saw one in the bottom lane down here, and then we saw one up here. And neither of them have really netted anything this game. And it's kind of surprising to me that he opted for the Shiva's Guard instead of either a Refresher or a Lincoln Spear. Both would have secured him the ability to black hole. I mean, at this point, he's almost just a utility hero that offers... You know, the Malefice, it is one of the best stuns in the game. It's a 3-second stun over... I think it's 8 seconds, or 6 seconds, sorry. And, you know, he has the Midnight Pulse, probably his best spell. And he has the mech and the Shivas, so, you know, I mean, it's not like he's useless, but I think he's sort of missing out on some opportunity by picking up either a Refresher or a Lincoln Spear so that he can actually cast his black holes, or holes. And he's just so scared of the Chain Frost, but, you know, at the same time, if he never casts black hole, Boogie will never cast Chain Frost.
It's true.
So it's sort of a,
just a stalemate between the two of them. They're not trading big ultimates that can contribute a lot, but if one of them is to feed or use it too early or too preemptively, it allows the other one to really get a nice setup. So just very cautious play, and understandably so from both sides. And, you know, it's going to be a diffusal grab here on your Spectre, not opting for any sort of BKB buildup. I mean, I understand on one perspective you want to be taking in all that damage so that you can use it for your dispersion, but the burst is just so very much real. Just so real in this game when there's like Fire Blast coming in by the multiples. And the Shrek, of course, this is one of the few cases where you might need to bring in that extra bit of survivability, especially this late and with a full 10 seconds. Could be a very nice investment, but for now, they're still on the back foot, man. It's all complexity, and we'll see when they look to take the next fight, or if they want to continue to play it patient and wait out for the next Roche to come up.
I mean, I can see getting a Diffusal. I mean, Diffusal I think is the better item in general on Spectre, but I think just how these team fights are going, BKB just might be a little bit better in these fights. That being said, since he's opted for the Diffusal, he does have the option to just walk into all of Complexity, do as much damage as he can, maybe pop the Manta style, try to confuse them a little bit, you know, dish out as much damage as he can, get himself killed so that he does all that dispersion damage, and then go ahead and buy back and then use the Haunt. So that might be an option for him. The only problem with that is that then your buyback is on cooldown, and now with it being 7 minutes, it's just so long to not have buyback in these late game scenarios.
He has plenty of gold in reserve now. We'll see if he just kind of goes for the luxury shoes and at least getting boots of travel to kind of complete his 6 slot. Or if he even considers going with maybe a 7 slot kind of a build. We'll see.
And Moon has the MKB purchase stuff. Yeah, he can also opt for the Refresher build, where he just keeps the Refresher in base so that he can have 2 Haunts.
Certainly here, as he could use one the first engagement. When he does fall, buy back, Refresher, and then use Haunt again and get right back into the fight. Wouldn't be too shabby, but Moongander now with his MKB grab, he dishes out some serious right clicks, so 4 anchors, man.
Autumn's more useful in these teamfights now than Spectre. Well, maybe not more useful, but I think he's going to deal more damage. Because Spectre just... You know, Spectre is really strong in the late game, but it almost falls off a bit just because of... Like I said, this hero can't build any lifesteal. And that's actually a big deal once you get into this sort of super late game phase, because he has no sustainability.
No, I agree. But it also can come down to, you know, with Maron not having a BKB, if Trixie finds a great setup with 2 Ravages. They could also just get dropped on their head. So
yeah,
it's
I mean,
all
if Trixie finds Moon Meander caught out in like a double Ravage, they can just burst him down so quickly.
And we'll see. So it's going to be timid play here from both teams, hence why we're going to see a more prolonged fission. But just as I say that, Moonlight Shadow, it's Complexity who make the first call to advance now through enemy territory, and they're going to run right into Valix here. They're also going to see Jarex, who quickly throws out the stun and the blink. Valix not going to be so lucky, doesn't have the blink up and available as he gets high out with a hit. Now to move on forward, the Haunt comes back. It looks like 4 Anchors might consider going for a fight, but they're all pretty spread. No Ravage there at the ready. It's Mutama Man and Moon Meander trying to go toe-to-toe with Moon Meander coming out on top with some help. And now they turn back towards Trixie, who still has yet to use the Ravage. Couldn't get it off, will not be able to get it off this fight. And that's a triple kill for Moon Meander, cleaning him up with those right clicks. An immediate buyback coming out from Trixie, getting at the ready for a defense, and wants to start that timer on cooldown as soon as possible. And Spectre is probably going to have to buy back as well, but with no Haunt.
I'm not sure if you saw it, but Spectre chose to Haunt onto Moon Meander, and they sort of had like a 1v1 in the fight. And I mean, Mirana just straight up won the fight. I mean, it was just the power of the Satanic. You know, Spectre is winning the fight, and then he just pops the Satanic, and then he's at full life, and he just wins the 1v1.
Man, oh man, so what Complexity do is they push forward, they get the buyback out from Spectre, and they pull right back, like, okay, job well done. But now look at this smoke play here.
I'm
4
just
Anchors
not sure about this defusal.
Desperate.
Maybe even a Basher would have been superior.
They ping out, they see Lich appear. They might know it's a smoke. They're just desperate to try to use these 2 Ravages as they didn't get to use them last time. They would love a big turnaround here. Alexi onto him, jumping from the rim. Swimmer moves through, BKB already popped up and feel the wrath of the Ravage. Then 2 of them gets called. Moon Meander and Riser caught on both. Can they burst them down? Turn back Black Hole. This one's not being stopped, and they take down the Spectre. 120 seconds with no buyback. Complexity win. Jarex calls out the good game, and they have a fantastic counter fight right there when 4 Anchors were trying to go for an all-or-nothing smoke pull. Good work, man. Complexity, the underdogs, they take out 4 Anchors. They look pretty good doing it.
Yep. And I mean, like I talked about, I think there was a lot of windows in this game. I think Complexity had the early game window where they were able to build up their advantage, get a lot of map control. And then 4ESC had a window where they had these big teamfight ultimates where they were able to bring the game back. They looked really strong at one point in the game. I mean, the Spectre at some points was completely unkillable. But then the game just sort of dragged on, and then we just saw the power of Complexity's heroes in the late game. I mean, Potom just out-carried Spectre once he got the Satanic.
Yeah,
and on top of the Ogre, too. I mean, this Ogre hero in the late game is just crazy.
Big. And you're going against a hero who kind of always second guesses even getting a BKB. It just allowed them to really dish out huge damage. And they take it home, man. 4 Anchors fall. We have another match coming up. It's going to be the second game, as this is a 2-game series here between 4 Anchors and Complexity. First game was played on the East server, so now we will change it over to the Luxembourg server and find out if at least 4 Anchors can even things up in game number 2. If you like what you heard, catch me on Twitter at CoddleGuy. And, of course, joining me is FRL, his Twitter at FRLDota. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. Sit tight.